Hello, I'm John, and this is Natalia, and
Hiya.
this is Indy.
Hello.
Hello. Good boy. Thank you for coming onto our GoFundMe page. The reason you're here is because we've asked you to, or one of our lovely friends has asked you to, or you've just managed to find us randomly. So thank you. Me and Natalia have been a couple for the last 14 years. That's right, isn't it? Yeah, I remember.
As well.
And we've been married. This will be our 5th year of marriage this year. Since 2018, we have been trying for a child. And unfortunately, that's been met with lots of unexplained losses.
In our time together, we've experienced 8 losses. For myself, I've actually experienced 9. One of them was many, many, many years ago from a previous relationship. Details of the sort of losses that we've had and how they differ are in the description below. But yeah, we've 8 losses since 2018. It's been a hard time. The doctors have never actually found a diagnosis for why. We've had a couple of the fetuses from the miscarriages. We've actually had them tested for chromosome abnormalities as well. They came back perfectly normal. We have no answer. So at the moment, I'm labelled as unexplained infertility. So after trying many, many different things, I've had 3 fertility consultants, but my most recent one decided to take us down the IVF route. It took so long to get us there via the NHS that by the time we did start the IVF, I was turning 40, which is the cut-off for IVF funding, which meant rather than 3 rounds, I was only entitled to 1 and 1 transfer. The IVF itself was successful. We managed to get 15 day 5 blastocysts, so 15 embryos, which is a huge amount. All good grade as well. However, we had 1 transfer, 1 frozen embryo transferred from that we were still funded for at that point. Unfortunately, that it didn't implant. We didn't miscarry, it just didn't implant at all. So we thought we would get round, we would have another round, but didn't realise at that point that we didn't have any more funding. So currently we have 14 embryos essentially in the freezer. What's the next step? We aren't falling pregnant naturally on our own, and there's a massive chance that if we did fall pregnant again on our own, the likelihood is I would miscarry again, being that there's been so many miscarriages from natural pregnancies. I did decide a few months ago to share our story on Facebook. I decided to go public with it to bring some awareness of miscarriages and the sort of silence around them and the taboo subject matter. And a lot of you contacted me, shared your own stories I didn't even know about you, which I was really touched by. But a lot of people as well had asked me to set up a funding page for us. Which again was a wonderful thing to suggest, very kind. So we are starting this as requested.
We've, unfortunately, over the last 14 years, we've had a run of horrible bad luck and a lot of financial difficulties. Partly taking care of this one. And most families are able to use the help of their extended family or even their close family. And unfortunately, we have less of an option with regards to that. Unfortunately, Natalia's parents passed away a few years ago, and my dad passed last year. And
Lost that network.
yeah, we don't have those usual routes to go. So this is where you potentially come in. We do have various research that we've looked at, and we've come down to 3 potential options for us.
So I'm not going to detail them too much in this video because it'll be far too long for people to sit and watch.
It will be somewhere down
I have
there.
detailed in the description the breakdown of exactly what each option would cover. So I'm going to sort of summarise as best I can, being me, each option. So the first option, which is the cheapest option, is a frozen embryo transfer using our embryos already in storage. As well as that, we also would want to add on embryo glue and a endometrial scratch. There's only a small percentage of increased chance, but any chance is a chance with us, to help the embryo implant better. That would all come in at £3,500. That is for one transfer. So and they do say that it does take a few transfers before you have a success. We've had one already that was unsuccessful. We're hoping this one would be, but there's no guarantee. Second option is a frozen embryo transfer with PGT-A testing. That's chromosome testing the embryos for chromosomal abnormalities. I've detailed them as well below, so I won't go into too much detail with that. That is more expensive, but then it would mean the embryo, fingers crossed, that's put back doesn't have any chromosomal abnormalities, which could potentially then mean it's more likely to implant and carry to term. Hopefully at the end of that, a healthy child. I've had to estimate the cost as all 14 embryos being tested until we know how many it would take to find a normal one. It may only take 1 or 2, we don't know. That altogether would come in at, it's just over £10,000. I think it's about 10,100 and something, but around about £10,000. So big bucks again. A third option would be the surrogate route. So what we would like to do, if we did use a surrogate, would be to use our own embryos with the surrogate, partly because we already have them made anyway and in the freezer. But there'd be our DNA, and it would be really nice to be able to do that if I can't bear our own children. So in the UK, surrogates can charge for expenses, but they can't be paid to be a surrogate compared to a lot of countries. So surrogates in the UK can charge, I think it's usually around about 15,000 for expenses. But then on top of that, you have all legal fees and things to technically make the child, the parentage and everything else, and the legalities of that to make sure you are there for their parent, and all sorts of other bits and pieces. So it's basically about another £10,000 of bits and pieces all in all on top of that 15,000. Then on top of that as well, you also have the cost of the frozen embryo transfer for the surrogate to have, and the medications and everything the surrogate would need. So to use a surrogate, we would want to still have the embryo's PGT tested, because obviously it's a lot of money to spend in the first place. We want to make sure the embryo going into the surrogate is chromosomally normal, because we wouldn't be able to afford to do that again. So we're looking at, for surrogacy, which is the third and final most expensive option, around about £31,000. So big bucks. So yeah, none of this fertility journey is cheap, unfortunately. No. So that's where we're at.
And that kind of brings us round to you guys again. So obviously we don't expect somebody to just give us £31,000. That's insane.
Can you imagine?
I mean, if you want to. But anything that you can give is always going to be greatly appreciated. And obviously we also don't want anybody to feel like they have to do anything like that. We don't want you to feel awkward about it, or unsure about being able to do that, because we do also understand that the world is in chaos at the moment.
Everybody's having a tough time, and the costs of living have just shot up insanely, and
yeah,
we're not blind to all of this. We are aware.
The only reason we're going down this route is because it's one of our only options left.
a last hurrah of sorts to have a family of our own.
So if you would like to offer anything at all, or even if you would like to share this video, and
We would love you to share the video, but no pressure.
If you can get the word out there
on any social media channels, any websites, anything like that would be really helpful.
Yeah. So anything you can do will always be appreciated by us and Indy.
In this one.
So thank you again for your time. We appreciate you spending a bit of time watching the video and looking at our page.
Thank you.
Thank you.